Also, complaining Palpatine is suspicious because he gives mildly extreme orders and that we need to flat out be told what exactly Palpatine planned, and many of his plans could have worked out differently can be applied to the Dark Knight trilogy. The Joker plans elaborate schemes all the time. Ra's al Ghul tells Bruce they will execute a man, but also we weren't told if the Joker planned for his goons to try and betray him. Taking time to spell out every detail of a mystery is ruining it, and you really don't become automatically suspicious due to everything. I mean, did the crews in the Abyss or aliens automatically get suspicious of Bird or Ash or Coffin or over everything? Of course not. And also he complains that we would have no reason to care about the clones in more detail in this one again, which, as explained in the episode 2 defense, is pure discrimination, and he also said we wouldn't at all feel the consequences of war on Coruscant, as there is an active track pick at nightclubs, that we should show the effects by traffic disappearing and the lack of food, that this would make the audiences care apparently. Well, that would be manipulating the audience in the ways he criticized Avatar for. Rich cities are often unaffected, most wars. Again, this is the case in Gladiator, and if anyone watches any good dramatized historical documentaries like Rise and Fall of Rome, you would see this. It is silly to suggest wars should just affect every aspect of life and destroy everything. But moreover so, they are winning this war. Remember, this war isn't the problem. What they are doing to democracy is. What they are doing to win the war, and he then comments the rise of the Empire wouldn't affect the average Joe, as we see in Jedi that the city still looks the same. What? What? The rise of the Empire isn't the same as the effects of the Clone Wars, but also a repressive government does not lead to a city literally falling into ruins most of the time. Rome under Caligula, Moscow under the Soviets, etc. Look at the cities in North Korea. A dictatorship doesn't make everything horrible on every level. To think that is childish. We see the effects of the Clone Wars by them holding planets hostage like Atapu, because yes, border regions are the most affected by war, and the Empire was bad and overthrown because they did things like blowing up Alderaan. He suggests the clones should be drafted soldiers to fight the clones, and that they would become loyal soldiers over time, like how our real dictatorship is formed. And he then shows a picture of Hitler. Maybe he needs to read some history books. Hitler came to power before World War II, but being voted more and more power to help keep order. And nations where citizens are drafted do not automatically have the soldiers pledge allegiance to a dictator. And by the way, Lucas is paralleling Hitler and Caesar and Napoleon, and this will really come back later. Also, we have more horrible complaints on the film, which is, for one, that they sent Obi-Wan to deal with Grievous and not many other Jedi, and he said that the fact it might be dead end is no reason not to send more Jedi, as if it isn't a wild bantha chase, it could end the war. Yes, and if it is, it would mean wasting a lot of valuable manpower. People don't throw everything they have in a war on one thing. That is just gambling with people's lives. And he actually questions how important it is to keep the Wookiee planet for one more day. Well, as they are the citizens very important, you don't leave millions to die just for a great cause. That is like sacrificing a whole army on a suicide mission, like killing the Jewish babies in Egypt to keep order. Is it evil? Fascist? Violates code of war? Is it like the Nazis killing the Jews for what they saw as a greater good? But remember, this is how RedletterMedia believes wars are conducted, leaving millions to their fate by sending troops to where maybe the enemy leader might be. Wow. Just wow, man. Oh, man. But so, we also had the complaint that it seems like they might have forgotten about the droid attack on the Wookiees. What, because one guy asserted its importance? People do that during wars all the time. Watch many other military councils, but also Matthew again complains that while Dooku, a traitor and war enemy with no proof, asserted that Palpatine was an evil super, with no proof that therefore the Jedi should be more than a little suspicious. Yeah, sure. Implicit complains that they have Anakin spy on him, even though Anakin is closest to him, because they don't just check the cameras in his office, even though without a warrant that would be a big crime in any nation, and they probably don't even have access to that. Also he complains that Anakin doesn't find it convenient Palpatine knows the way to save people from death when he is just losing Padme. even though he starts about it just a piece of history, and Anakin is very scared of losing Padme, as he had dreams of his mother dying, and those came true. So he's scared young adult. Are those really supposed to catch that stuff? Really, especially when Palpatine is his long mentor, and when the Jedi have been excluding him and he only feels supported by the Chancellor. Does Red Letter Media get this character development? Anakin is slow in figuring this out, as 1. He knows Palpatine since he was a kid and he was always nice to him. 2. Palpatine tells him that he wants to hear so he can secretly wants to believe him. 3. He is full of anger, stress, fear, and confusion, so easily manipulative. 4. He does it step by step, which is why anyone is corrupted and that it was made so realistic. Palpatine first just gives him a few mildly extreme orders, yet he compliments Anakin and gives him hope while the Jedi are mistreating him, so logically this clouds his judgment further, and he questions Palpatine knowing about the Sith, saying it is like knowing Mein Kampf. Well, yeah, actually some people read Mein Kampf. A fascination with evil doesn't make one evil. Just look at Indiana Jones. He knows a lot of evil cults, and the Nazis, and Palpatine is the Chancellor who is even fighting the Sith. And at first he only shows he knows stuff about the dark side, and he complains that he clearly shows and he despises the Jedi at this point. But so does Anakin, which blurs the line. That is actually all very realistic and three-dimensional. Oh, and Somerset knew the details of the 7 deadly sins in 7. Also, if you are in the middle of the desert exhausted and there's a lemon shop, you don't question why there's one in the middle of the desert, you just want a drink. So wait. He then mentions that they were already looking for a Sith Lord. Yeah, and you often don't see what is right under your nose. And Matthew complains it would be unlikable of Anakin not to want to tell Obi-Wan of Padme's pregnancy, even though he will be expelled from the Order, and he just had a vision of his wife's death like his mother. Cut him a break. Then he finds out he is put on the council but not made a master, the first person ever to not be made a master, but apparently when people criticize you that badly, you may still not whine. No, you may never disagree with your superiors, you just mindly obey orders, except for when they order you to kill a dangerous Dooku who is on a ship on his side when you are with just one man, and also he would be wrong to whine about them asking him to spy on a friend and mentor, because having reservations and betraying a friend and mentor is wrong, and whining is weird when you are already emotional over your wife being very likely to die. Oh yeah, and so in this situation he meets Palpatine, and he should have noticed the clues to him being evil. Sure. And note, he still defends the Jedi from Palpatine, praising them, but again, Anakin never acts likable, except for, of course, all that stuff in the pointless opening, and on Coruscant when he is worried of losing his wife, and comforts Padme on being pregnant and compliments her. But so what? He is just an asshole. Sure. And so Anakin will be dumb for joining Palpatine when his promise was vague, even though he is desperate and feels rejected by the Jedi, and Palpatine is his mentor, and he knows the dark side. He at least has a solution. But no, Anakin would not in fear when Palpatine is acting vulnerable, attack Master Windu, who always rejected him anyways. And so, of course, once he is in a rush attack, then there is no way back. He is full of guilt, so he has to trick himself into thinking it was the right thing. Which is why he is so loyal to Palpatine after this, and knows he is on the other side. His hatred for democracy and the Jedi grows stronger. And by the way, he cut off Windu's hand as if it was an intense moment, and he acted on aggressive instincts, and he would have been wrong to whine to Palpatine to whine that they were excluding him according to CMs, even though they were excluding him. Oh, and it is, by the way, at that moment that Palpatine makes it even more obvious that he is evil, but since it is obvious he reported him after figuring it out, and he at first is angry at Palpatine for being a Sith, but he is still unlikable, even though he almost cries as he is torn between saving the woman he loves and doing what is right, but no, whining. And even when he whines in this sense, he criticizes himself, saying he wants more. Well, he should not. That is bad. So Anakin whining Anakin is evil. Well, Matthew whines about him, and so does Plinkett, and it would be stupid that Palpatine kept shooting lightning to have it reflected back. Yeah, it actually is. It would make sense if he defended himself from Windu, who wanted to kill him, and yes, Windu deciding that was sporadic they early on mentioned, why they would have to kill him, so when wanting to arrest him seemed like a big continuity error. Fine, that is a fair point. Also, Anakin should find it weird Palpatine orders him to kill all the Jedi. Yeah, he has figured out Palpatine is evil, he knows this is wrong, but he is trying to tell himself otherwise, and also he knows Palpatine is the Sith Lord who controlled the war. He knows this is why he knows where the Separatist leaders are. He is just trying not to think this through, as to justify doing evil things. Also, Grievous would be dumb for not finding it suspicious Palpatine wanted to have the Separatist leaders all in one place, even though he earlier on supported betting it all on one horse, and guess what? Here that is actually shown. It works. He said it would have made more sense to split them all up. No, that is stupid. No, governments don't disperse, they don't function as governments anymore. During the Great Migration period, the Imperial Court as a whole fled to Ravenna. During the Fourth Crusade, the whole Byzantine government left for Nicaea. During the Mongol invasion, the Imperial government as a whole fled from one place to another. Then we have the complaint that the Jedi could have done a midichlorian test. No, you need a warrant. That they could question why Palpatine was supposed to lead them in the war. Well, because he is the Chancellor the same way Roosevelt got extended powers. You know, because the Senate and the people want him to. He said to tell him his term is up, but it was extended by the Senate. They have that power, and he got it as he is the Chancellor as the leader during the war. Again, emergency power. That is how Hitler got his power to deal with the crisis years. He said Jimmy Smith got to cast a vote of no confidence, which wouldn't work as the Senate is on his side, so no one would support. He wouldn't even have to fight for his position. The Senate would let him keep it, and if they want him to, so he can. Again, Hitler was allowed to stay in charge longer and alter the Constitution. Again, like how a real dictatorship is formed. He complains they don't sense his inner feelings. Well, he can block them, and that doesn't prove he is a Sith Lord, just that he isn't weak-minded. The Force only works on the weak-minded, not on all people that aren't trained in the Force. Maybe you need to rewatch the original Star Wars. He also suggests that confront him out in the open, even though Palpatine has security, so he wouldn't need to show he was a Sith, and they would openly show that they were attacking a democratically elected Chancellor, and Matthew complains they don't inform the Senate. Yeah, because the Senate will support Palpatine, and if Palpatine doesn't resist them, you can arrest him, as you have no proof. Also, he complains Grievous himself is a filler, as there is no reason for Palpatine to have a leader for the Separatists, allowing them to end a war. Well, he wants them to end, so the Jedi will want to force him away, allowing him to rule permanently, and the Jedi think the Senate won't have him step down because he controls them through their corruption, and they want to strike first. Also, Matthew complains Obi-Wan sneaks up on Grievous on a load beast, even though it belongs to a Separatist, so they don't think it is anything to worry of. And he went up to Grievous to challenge him, and he wanted to keep him and the droids distracted for when the clones show up, and he didn't sneak up on him, as with all the guards around wouldn't work. And Blinky complains he didn't see the advantage of a gun, even though it is uncommon in the original trilogy trait of Jedi to be prejudiced towards guns. Also, he complains Yoda isn't more concerned when Anakin comes in sweating and nervous, saying it would show he was hiding big secrets and in love with Padme. Yeah, just as he said concerned someone was dying, you know, that might be a reason to be stressed. Oh no? Okay. Also, he complains Newt Gunray is dumb, as in the first film he and his partners will be used in an obvious ploy. No, they were invading a planet and seizing power, and Sidious seemed very determined, and then he got arrested, and Plinkett said he somehow reappears in clones. Actually, that was explained. He survived 4 trials due to corruption, and he joined Dooku, not just because he would kill Padme, which is why he stays with them in Episode 3. When Padme is yet to be killed, he and all the Separatist leaders were going to be able to blackmail the Republic. Yeah, some warships are destroyed, but this applies to the general ships in A New Hope as well. The point is, in 1, 2, and 3, he is trying to extend his Federation powers. Also, Matthew complains Anakin doesn't mention feeling guilty of killing the Sand People. Well, he isn't into animal rights nut, of course not. But also RedletterMedia calls the Senate stupid, complaining that Palpatine's takeover was unrealistic, even though it almost takes step by step every element of real-life takeovers. The killing of the Jedi in Order 66 is a reference to the Night of the Long Knives, in which almost the whole top of this SA was murdered, which had military powers, kind of like the Jedi, and was associated to the Nazi Party and Hitler, who had just gotten unconstitutional emergency powers like Palpatine, and then murdered without trial, and the German courts and cabinet quickly stepped aside centuries of legal prohibition against extrajudicial killings to demonstrate their loyalty to the regime. Does this sound familiar? Yes, Palpatine had all the Jedi killed without trial, and him proving what he said was true,